So today in this session, we will learn about the layout. So layout design in the CSS, how we can design the layout in the CSS. We'll try to see. Up to now we have seen the core foundations, something like colors, how we can represent the color, sizing units, what is the difference between a pixel, EM, REM, viewport, width and height, and also the percentage. These are all things we have seen it. So we have seen how the CSS works, specificity, cascading thing. These are all the things also we have seen. Now it's time for us to design a layout. So in order to develop an application, or in order to develop a web app or web page, either it may be a mobile or a desktop or anything. So we haven't learned up to now the responsive thing. How we can design a layout. So how we can position the elements. So wherever we want to position the elements, how we can do that one. Let's try to learn in this session. So first of all, you need to know about the history of this layout design. So in the early days, something like in the late 2000s or something like that. So whenever we want to do the layout design and all those things, complex designs and all those things, we used to do with the table element. So we used to take the table elements with the rows and columns and all those things. We need to place all the elements, visual appearance, we need to do it with that one. In the late 90s or 2000s, I don't know exactly when it was implemented. So in that previous thing, we used to have the table. Then afterwards, slowly the evolution has been came down the CSS. So around 1996 or something like that. So the CSS came, the first CSS1 or something like that. Okay. So in that one, they have introduced the floats concept. So floats, floating of the elements. So these are one of the main thing. And afterwards in 1998, something like that, CSS2 was introduced. Okay. In 2010, so a revolutionary change has been came. So CSS3 was introduced with the responsive design. So here we got the responsive design. Responsive design means responding to the devices. So different resolutions it will be responding. In the 2012, okay, we got the media queries. So media queries, how we can write the media queries, and also the flexbox. Later on in 2017 or something like this, 2017 or 2018, I don't know. So 18, we got the grid, so which is latest. So most of the browsers will not support up to now. Flexbox 2012 it came, right? So it will most of the probably it will work. So 80% of the browsers it will work. Still Flexbox will not support by some of the browsers. So we should be very careful while using the Flexbox and the grid and all those things. Grid means we should be too much careful. Flexbox means so little bit of careful if you have, it is okay. Then afterwards in 2021 or something like that, so we got the container queries and all those things has been introduced. Still it is in the development. So it was not still in the development only. So the browsers, most of the browsers doesn't support this one. So we'll be not using these things. Container queries, intrinsic website design. So these are the new topics that are going to be introduced in the CSS4 with the revolutionary changes. It will take some time. So these are the things which we have came up to now. The CSS grid is the final one. And grid also, it is somewhat, I told you, right, 2018 or 19 it has been came. I didn't remember exactly. So like this 2017, 18, 19. So in these 3 years, we got this grid introduced. Flexbox was introduced in the 2012. In the 2012 or 2013 like that. So these are the things which, for designing the layouts, these are the history of how the CSS has evolved over time. First, in order to understand the CSS design and all those things, first we need to know about the display element. Okay. So what does this display element and how this display element will work? As you people already know, let's try to add a new file, layout.html. Here I will be designing HTML. I will try to add a div. Okay. So here, so this is the div content or something like this. And we are having another div. This is a 1 and this is a 2. Now if I try to see this output, so these two are coming one by one down, one by one down, it is coming. So why it is coming? Because of the browser style sheet. So the browser has applied a style for that one, a display of block. Okay, here if you try to see, the div, the browser has applied display of block for these two divs. Now for example, if I try to write the style here, so we have learned about the inheritance and all those things, right? So for the div element, I want to maintain display initial. So default value for this display is inline, not a block. So if I try to see, these two are coming side by side. So why? Because for this div, I have made that one to display to be initial. Initial means it will take the initial value. So the initial value means the CSS default value. So the CSS default value for this display is inline, not block. So the block will be applied by the browser, not by the, don't think that div has a default nature of block. So that internally, if you try to say, so like this, it will behave. So if internally deep, if you want to explain means, some people, all the people will be telling that a div is a block level element, a paragraph is a block level element, span is inline level element. So default behavior like that they will be saying, but that's not the actual thing. So deep internally, it will be happening like this. So CSS will be playing around with that one. So to appearance wise, it will make you as a block level element. So fine, we understood about this block and inline and all those things we know. So now let's move on to the next one. So now here, okay, initial and all those things, let's leave it. So we got these two elements which are one by one down. Okay, which are one by, oh sorry. So which are one by one down. Now I don't want this one to be one by one down. So if I try to remove this display block, and if I see this one, so these are coming one by one down. I don't want this one to be coming one by one down. I want to place it at the side here. So what is the display property? What I want to change here, I need to change the display property. Okay, so I changed it to inline. Now if I change it to inline, so now this one has exactly behaved how the initial has behaved. So that means we have changed this div property to the inline. So now these both are coming one by one. Fine. So we are able to position the elements. So we are able to place the elements wherever I want it. So I have placed it here and I want to place it at the side. So I am successfully able to place it. So this works in all the browsers. Okay, this is the default behavior. This works in all the browsers. Now let's say that I removed this one. So let's say remove this one. So I have applied a margin top of 20 pixel. Okay, so margin bottom or otherwise. Okay, let's try to apply one by one, then you'll understand. 20 pixel. So padding top of 20 pixel and padding bottom of 20 pixel, and I'm applying a border of 1 pixel solid. So it cannot understand black. We have applied it like this. Okay. So why we have applied margin top, margin bottom, padding top, padding bottom, and all those things for these two divs. Now if you try to see the output, how the output will appear. So as expected, we are able to see the output. So this one is having a margin top and bottom, and also we are having a margin top and bottom. If you try to observe here, so this one is having a margin bottom of 20 pixel. Okay, so this one is having a margin bottom of 20 pixel, and at the top this one is having a margin top of 20 pixels. So that means in between these two you should have a margin gap around 40 pixel. Why? Because this one has a bottom of 20 pixel and this one has a top of 20 pixel. But here you are having a, in between these two you are having only margin of 20 pixel only. This one is called as a margin collapsing. Okay, so if you try to observe here, margin collapsing. So if you are having two block level elements which is having a margin bottom and a margin top of something like that, whichever is having the highest margin, that margin will come in between these two places. Here actually it should have margin bottom 20 and margin top 20. 20 plus 20, you should have a around 40 pixel of gap you should have between these two elements. Why? Because this one is having margin bottom of 20 pixel and this one is having margin top of 20 pixel. We have applied it. So now it should be 40 pixel, but here we are having only 20 pixel only. So equally we are having. So this is called as a margin collapsing. So this is the default behavior in this one in the CSS. For example, if I try to maintain div nth type, there is this one, nth of type, second element I want to apply. So I have given one, right? Sorry, it should be 2. Second element means for this element I am trying to apply margin top of 40 pixel. Okay, so why I am applying like this margin top of 40 pixel? So here already we are having margin top of 20 pixel for this one, and this one is having margin top of 20 margin bottom of 20 pixel. 20 margin bottom 20 plus margin top of 40. 20 plus 40, it should be 60. But we know that the margin collapsing will be there for these two items. So whoever is having the highest margin, it will take. So if you try to see here, so it will be having 40 pixel here. If you try to see, this one is having margin bottom, you'll be able to see of 20 pixel. But here it is, if you see, this one is having margin top of 40 pixel. So the entire margin it has taken. So this is called as a margin collapsing. So this is also one of the concept you need to understand. So if you want to apply a margin between these two items, if you go on giving that one, so it will not apply. So you'll be able to confuse that why this one is not applying. So because of the margin collapsing. Now for example, let's say that, so let's remove these all things. Now here we are having a margin padding and all those things. Now I want to place this div element to the side of this one. So as we already know that I want to apply a display of inline. So we know that I have applied a display of inline. If you try to see here, immediately if I try to see, the margin has gone away. Okay, whatever the margin I have applied for this one, the top has gone and the bottom also has been gone. So if you try to place another element here, any paragraph element. So any paragraph element if I apply here, see already this for this div element and for this div element we have a margin bottom of 20 pixels, something around 20 pixel we are having for every div element. These two div element selector, using the element selector, it is having a margin bottom of 20 pixel. But when I am trying to write the paragraph here, immediately that paragraph is coming near to that one. So there is no margin gap 20 pixel between these two elements. So what is happening here? So here if I try to apply margin bottom of 100 pixel also, then also it will not apply. If you try to see, then also the paragraph will be close to this div element only. So here you need to understand that the inline level elements does not obey the margin top and the margin bottom elements. Okay, so the block level things, so margin block top and the bottom margins, it will not allow. It will not allow means it will not accept it. So but I want to place these two contents side by side, and also I want to obey the margin top and margin bottom. Then what we need to do is we need to use, instead of this one, so we have some of the elements also, something like width also will not be accepted. So if I try to give width of 200 pixels, something like that, these some of the items are there which is not accepted. So this one I have applied a width of 200 pixel. So if I apply 1000 pixel also, it will not apply. So these are some of the items will be there for which the inline item, inline does not obey. So if you try to give height also will not accept. So these are some of the items will be there. So not only the margin top and margin bottom, width and height, these all the things are not accepted by the inline level elements. How much content is there? It will take that much of space only. So you cannot extend that one. So now if you want to make that one, if you want to make this one to apply the margin top and margin bottom or width or anything, and I want to place it side by side means, so we need to change it to inline-block. Okay, we need to change it to inline-block. So now if I try to change it to inline-block, immediately see a gap has been applied, and also at the top you will be able to see the margin also. And here also we are able to see 100 pixel at the margin bottom. So let's try to remove this margin bottom. Here I will be using 20 pixel. Okay. So here we are able to see this one. So here we are able to see the margin and all those things are, we are able to apply it. So this is the default behavior of the display. Okay, this is how the display property actually works. Apart from this one, we also have another property called as a display flex. So you people know about this flex concept. So flex will make the child element. So you should be wrapped it in a parent. Okay. So whatever the child elements are there inside this one. So let's try to make it here. Let's try to remove this display thing. So now class is equal to parent, and for this one, maintain it as a greater than new. Now all the items will come as one by one down. So fine. So now what I want to do is I want to make these all the child items to behave as an inline level elements. Okay. So to behave as an inline level elements, and also that should follow the margin padding and all those things. So we have seen it, right? Margin, width and all those things also it should accept it. So in order to make this one, so what we'll try to do is we will apply this one for the parent element, as a display flex. So this is also one of the concept for positioning these elements. So now if you try to make it, so all the elements which are there, what I can say, which are there in the parent element, so those all will behave as an inline block level elements. Okay, so this is a special property flex. So these all the things will behave instead of a block level elements will behave as an inline level elements. And we have some of the flex properties which we can control this width and alignments and all those things also we can do it. So those all things we'll try to learn it afterwards. So these are some of the display concepts. So we have so many things, display table. So for example, if you are using older version, something like that, so we can use this display table and all those things also we can use it. So this is about the display block level element. Now we have another one that is nothing but a floating. So we already seen about this floating also, right? So let's try to see about the floating. Let's say I am having an image src is equal to, I want to place some image. So let's try to take one image or anything. Let's try to take anything. We'll take it. Will this one has an png file or okay, jpg file. Let's try to take this jpg file. Now what I am trying to do is, here I will take this jpg file. Now let's try to see the output. So we are able to see the output. Let's control this width and height of this one. So img tag, for this img tag I am giving width of something around 200 pixel. Automatically height will be automatically adjusted, the aspect ratio, according to the aspect ratio. So width I am giving 200 pixel like this, or otherwise let's try to give it as 100 pixel so that it will be very small. Now what I am having here, I am having an image. So suddenly what I will try to do here, I will be having a p element and this is the content I will be having, and again I will be having another p content. So these are the two paragraph content which you will be having. Now if you try to see, so these paragraph elements are block level elements. Okay, these paragraphs are block level elements. Because of this block level element these are taking a new line, so these are coming in a new row. Now what I don't want this behavior, I want something in a such a way that the content should come here. Okay, from Google, from here onwards, wherever the Google image is there, after that there is so much of space left out. I want to get this text and all those things to be coming by the side of the image. For this reason what we can do, so we can make this one as an display inline, and also we can also make this one as a display inline, so that both of them will come side by side, or otherwise we can do it as an inline block. But if you try to do those things, what will happen, we'll try to see. So paragraph element, what I will try to do, paragraph element, it should be something like display inline block. We have learned these all the concepts. So inline block. So now block level nature will be gone. Okay, for image also we'll try to make it. Block level nature also will be gone, and now both of them will come side by side. Why these both are not coming side by side? So image is there, paragraph element, display is inline block, and this one is inline block. Okay, I'll mention the width is 100 pixel, and this one also. Let's try to maintain this one also with 100 pixel or something like this. Okay, these are all coming side by side. Okay, if you try to observe, these are all coming side by side. So if I don't want this type of behavior, so if you try to see, there is a lot of gap left behind this one. So for this reason, what we can do is, instead of making this display inline block, so we can make the image to float left. Okay, to float the left, so that it will float in the left of the screen as if the element is not available. Then what the paragraph will assume is, so this paragraph, what is happening here? I am not saving or what? This one. This is a paragraph element. Okay, correct only. And these are the CS image element. Fine. And width and height I have mentioned it. Margin top and all this. Okay, fine. So is there anything that I am trying to apply? Huh? Okay. So let's try to remove this all width thing. Yeah. So now we are able to see it. So now I want to get in a such a way that so here I want to get in a such a way that so this image will float on the document element. So in the browser it will float it, and now what the paragraph element will think as, okay, in the first line, so there is nothing is present in this one, so it will try to come here by the side of the screen. So if I try to decrease this image, to something around 50 pixel, see the content will come in such a way that it will wrap around the content. So this is the behavior of the one. So now if you want to give for the image, I can give margin right 20 pixel or something like that, so that the content will be moved apart from that one. So if I want to place this image at the right side, I don't want this one to be placed at the left side. If I want to place it at the right side, I can use this float of right option. Okay. So if I try to use float of right option, now the image will come at the right side. So this is called as a float concept. So we can use float either left or right. There is no center for this float thing. So this is about the float option. So now these are all layout techniques, how we can position these all the elements in a different ways. So using this float element, we can position the images or content wherever we want it, we can use it. So if you want to use this two float elements, for example, let's say that I am not having this image element. Okay, let's assume we are having two paragraph element. So now if I try to see the output, these are coming one by one, right? So what I can do here for this paragraph element, I can write in such a way that, so both of them should be float left. So this one will come side by side. Both of them will come side by side. These both are not coming. Okay, we need to give the width for this one. Width is important. 200 pixel. If you give the width for both of them, so both of them will come side by side. So here we can place these items one by one. So if you are able to see the boxes, you will be able to see the boxes right in the web design. So like this we used to do. So now if I want to place another paragraph element, it will come side. So here it will come three levels side by side. So now I can give the box border and all those things, and I can place it whatever I want, I can do it. So this is the oldest way of technique which we will be using for the placement of side by side. Now for example, let's say that we are having only two content. So I want to place this one. I want to place this one here. Oh, sorry. I want to place this one here. Yeah. I want to place this one at the left side, and this one should be placed at the right side. So what I can do here, so for this first one, we have used this one, right? P of first child should be at the float left, and P of second child. So P of second child I'm using. Or otherwise we can use second child, will not be anything. So last child also you can use it, or otherwise nth of type also you can use it. And I am placing it as the float right. So now if you try to see here, so both of them will come here, this side. So in the middle the gap will be left out. So like this we will be having in the previous things. So before the flex was introduced, so we will be using this float methodologies to place the elements wherever we want it. So float left or float right or center. So like this, wherever we want it, we used to place it like this. We don't have a float center, so don't think the float center we will not have it. If you want to make it center means you used to give margin auto and all those things we used to give, and we need to place it. So those are different things. So this is also one of the concepts. So using the float level also, we can use this one for aligning the content. Now whatever the things I am trying to tell here, these all the things will work in all the browsers. So that is one of the concept, you need to understand it. So now these are the main basic fundamentals of this one. So display inline, display block level element, display inline block level element, display flex, we have seen it. So basic thing we have seen it, and also the float level. So how the float concept will work for placing of these all contents, we have seen it. So these are the basic fundamental things present in the CSS.